Comics Plus, what is going on? My name is Akasun, and oh my god, the Eternals is rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. In all my years, like Thanos up in here, in all my years of covering Marvel movies, I never thought I'd see today that a Marvel movie would be rotten. That day is now. Guys, Eternals. Not all the reviews have come in, but Eternals is the first Marvel movie. It's currently on the path to be the first Marvel movie, not counting Inhumans, with a rotten score. Dun dun dun! Coming in right now with 182 reviews of people who have claimed to have seen the movie. 53%, which is 7% below the minimum needed to just have a somewhat certified fresh movie. And it's quite interesting because it's something we don't claim to. We always say we don't care about this, and I've always thought that was BS from the beginning. People always say not to claim, like not to care, right? And even studios say don't care. They say they don't care if it's a rotten rating, right? But we all know that's not true because the moment it's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, you see it posted everywhere, right? And I always call people out on this. I'm like, wait a second. When BVS came out and it was getting rated as rotten, when Man of Steel was rotten, right? When all these other movies were coming out, you were saying like it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what the critics think, blah blah blah, right? But then when the moment, for example, the Suicide Squad or Wonder Woman, even Wonder Woman 84, I believe, when that had a certified fresh rating. Back there, certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, okay, wait a second. You can't have it both ways here, buddy, right? And I'm just using DC movies as an example because those are generally the ones that are either really, really good or really, really bad, right? In terms of the ratings. It's like no in-between mixed situation. But now Marvel finds itself in a place that is very unbeknownst to them. And that's with a 53% rating right now. The general critic consensus is saying an ambitious superhero epic that soars as often as it strains. Eternals takes the MCU in intriguing and occasionally confounding new directions. Okay. I think I'm going to keep it at that. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I personally don't care what critics' opinions are on these movies, but overall, it's kind of interesting to see where it's headed. That's all, if that makes sense, right? And so, what does this mean for the future of Marvel movies, for the future of Eternals? Well, you know, Marvel has had this like crazy Midas touch. I mean, if you really think about it. They've been around for 10 plus years without putting out one bad movie, at least critically acclaimed, right? And even the movies that are bad, quote unquote, bad, are technically not that bad. Thor 2? Like, I actually like Thor 2. Like, I liked Thor 2. I thought it was weak in some movies that they get rated really high. I personally didn't really care for so much. Like Shang-Chi. Oh my god. Like, I don't know. Like Shang-Chi is like what, 92? And then it has a critics or an audience rating of 98, which is cool. If people like that, that's cool. But you know, I was like, okay, it's cool. Personally, WandaVision I thought was great. And one of the things that I've noticed with Phase 4, because a lot of people have been pointing this out with Phase 4, is the movies seem to be really struggling. Like, the movies are struggling to really pop off and get off the ground, right? But the Disney Plus shows, it feels like there's more thought and more heart being put into this, and it might just be the fact that they have more time to play and they have more time to tell a story or something where it's more fulfilling. But it feels like the Disney Plus shows have served a lot better in terms of material than the Phase 4 movies. Like, at this moment in time, for me, I don't know what happens after I watch Eternals tomorrow, but at this moment, I can't really think of any Phase 4 movie that has really helped progress things. I guess Spider-Man Far From Home counts, right, as a Phase 4 movie, right? So there was some, but that was so long ago now that, you know, anything else, Shang-Chi was its kind of its own thing, so to speak. And we will see what Eternals does, but, and then Black Widow was, you know, basically a prequel. So it hasn't really done much to, like, boost what's next, you know? Who's the big bad? When's the, you know, is there any sort of indication that we're going to get another type of Avengers team-up movie in the next couple of years or whatever, right? And I kind of like that, but at the same time, there hasn't really been any, like, strong sort of indication, because for what it's worth, even Thor Dark World, for what it's worth, that movie in itself, some people may not have liked it, but the end credit scene was probably one of the most significant teasers of all time for the MCU. Them going to the collector and basically saying Infinity Stones, like, blew me away. I was like, oh my god, we're about to go into that. Ladia, thank you for joining. So, you know, it's interesting that there hasn't really been much yet, like much of like a huge revelation. I mean, the biggest revelation that we've gotten so far in what could be considered a Phase 4 movie was Venom. It was Venom. So I don't know, guys. Like, for me, it's not a big deal. It's certainly big news because it is a little bit of a blemish on Marvel's perfect record, basically, in terms of critics and reviews and things like that. But at the same time, hey, here's a good idea of this is at least we know that, you know, Marvel isn't paying off the critics like we always like some people would speculate why the DC movies were going so bad, you know, and particularly in this year, the DC movies have actually been rated very well. You know, the Suicide Squad and things like that, right? And a lot of Warner Brothers movies have been doing very well with the critics and with the audience, right? But now we know. Now we know. The House of Mouse is not controlling these Rotten Tomato scores, and this is a good example. Red Red Nation, stand up, speak up. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure we're gonna be hearing it in the comments. I'm gonna do my old Kevin Home Alone look like. And there's your thumbnail. We're out. Peace.